Well, hello, welcome to Follow Everton. This is the match preview for Newcastle United versus Everton. I have the wonderful Aussie Chris with us today. I am hosting a stream using my mobile device. I am still awaiting the computer. The MacBook 15.3 inch will be ordered tomorrow before the end of the tax year, and it will take the streams to a new level. I do apologize. I've been absent, but wonderful Chris, who's with me today, has been mastering the channel, haven't you, Chris? You've been enjoying it, and there's another opportunity to talk about Everton today. What more can you want?
Yeah, other than the misery of trying to be optimistic for after a few weeks of it'll be if we lose tomorrow, it'll be 13 unbeat or with no wins, I think, right? So there's certainly some optimism that has been lacking, but we always have to look for silver linings, and I think I've really enjoyed being on this show and chatting with you guys, talking football, and yeah, as David's saying, I've been involved with a few, but I enjoy it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. So,
Yeah, you've been an absolute breath of fresh air, and you're putting me to shame with the setup. But we'll make it work for today, Chris. As you say, there, Everton are currently equaling the longest ever run without winning a game of football. This is a football club founded in 1878. I'm not going to do the maths, but that is a long time ago. And for that stain on your t-shirt, that can't wash out no matter how much washing up powder you put on. That's a record Sean Dyche has got to live with, and he could be the Everton manager tomorrow to have the record of the longest ever run in this club's history without winning a game, and it's very, very possible. How do you feel about that in your view of Sean Dyche? Has anything settled down since the ridiculous defeat at Bournemouth?
it's settled down is maybe the wrong word. I feel defeated in terms of who else are we going to get? Is part of the problem. If there was someone like at arm's reach, we could afford to get someone. There seemed to be someone that was a screamingly good option out there and available. I think it would make things a lot easier. Not happy with how we're playing. And I think you saw in the tactical debrief yesterday, a lot of lacking bravery. A lot of the players either told don't run or they don't have self-belief that it's worth putting your body on the line, taking risks. And even set plays are starting to look really poor. And we're struggling with fundamentals after 3 weeks off to clear the head. And you can blame the players, but the players have been better. So what is Dyche doing? Doesn't seem to be enough, does it? And to that point, we've had a really difficult season here with reputation and history of points deductions that are not Dyche's fault, but this one's on him.
I do wonder whether the players need a new voice now, and whether they are, I wouldn't say sick of, but have become kind of, I need a really good word for it, but just numb possibly to hearing.
Apathetic?
Yeah, I mean, it must be demoralizing. I mean, you're a footballer, you're playing at the highest level, and then you're quite literally told, and I'm assuming this is the case, hit it to the man furthest away from you.
Yeah.
Hope he holds on to it. But to be honest with you, I mean, we could talk for hours about the tactical show. It was brilliant what you did, but it still ends up back with the goalie to do it again and repeat the cycle, and everything's a 50-50, jockling for position. Fundamentally, must be quite draining for players to play this style of play. And I look at that, and I think you've got an international left back, you've got Ireland's captain at right back, you've got Scotland's right back there in the squad, so you've got 3 international fullbacks, England's goalkeeper with dozens and dozens of caps, Jared Branthwaite, arguably the best young centre-back in the league, and the source close to Follow Everton, who is involved, is an actual Premier League chairman, says that Jared Branthwaite is valued at £70 million. So you've got a £70 million centre-half. You've got James Tarkowski, who's statistically one of the strongest centre-halves in the league. You've got Gana Gueye, internationally capped for Senegal. Belgium's #1 defensive midfielder, Amadou Onana. I can go on and on and on. Beto's got pedigree. I don't care what people say. Calvert-Lewin's had pedigree. You could look at the wings and say they're very weak, but this Andre Gomez played for Barcelona, Player of the Year in Spain at Villarreal. You know, Sean Dyche should be doing far better with this group of players. It's inexplicable to go on this run and at least go on this run by showing us something. Earlier in the season, the performances were good, win, lose, or draw. Now they're just pretty apathetic.
Yeah.
Lose, and draw. So he's massively underperforming with this bunch of players now, in my opinion. They should be doing a lot better.
Absolutely. And when we talked about XG, and it's been overkilled in my opinion, but at the beginning of the year, we did everything but put it in the net. We're not even close to putting it in the net anymore. So that momentum of we just can't get it across the line. We can't get it to the 18-yard box anymore. So it's a little bit. It's gotten a whole lot worse. And a lot of that. Yeah.
I think nerves and pressure creeps into it. And I know you do a lot with geology and stuff, but if you were down a mine hunting for a diamond, and every time you got your hand on the diamond slipped out your fingers. And then after so many times of that happening, when you finally have got that in your grasp, the nerves, I know this is not what you do at all. You're not a diamond miner. You can understand what I'm saying. Anything you do where the pressure is mounted through a lack of success creates further pressure, which actually creates another complete issue. And I think I think a new manager for me would probably be the direction I'd go in, because I look at someone like Beto and think this guy physically is a monster. Calvert-Lewin's got a brilliant leap, but he's being asked to basically play as a battering ram when his best position is loitering around the 6-yard box and using his height and his athleticism to kind of nod them in, so to speak. So I think that someone with fresh ideas could get a lot more out of these players. I'm not enjoying watching Everton at the moment. I'm not looking forward to going to Newcastle, a cauldron under the lights tomorrow. I wonder whether the fact we're playing away from home against Newcastle will take pressure off us, because ultimately no one's expecting us to win. And I hope that will go in our favour. And Newcastle are a team that will try and take the ball, try and make things happen, rather than a Bournemouth, which, as you said, Chris, rightly so, they realised by booting it back to us, letting us bring it out from the back, giving it away so they can run up the other end and score was the way to go. But Newcastle won't do that. Newcastle will get it high.
They're too proud. Their fans are kind of like Evertonians. Just we demand a lot and we'll get angry real fast. Dyche did actually bring up on his little press conference. It wasn't exactly again, the press conferences have been pretty poor, but what he did talk about was the second the crowd was down 3-1, they started to turn against Newcastle a little bit last week. Well, just 2 days ago, really, but they got that goal from Gordon. Initiated by Gordon. Wasn't really a pen, but he fell and he got the free kick. Got a penalty that we don't get these days. Isak's looking really good. Gordon's going to be out. They are actually not that strong. Dyche is giving them credit for their squad depth, but they have so many out. Let me see if I can pull up some of the names here quickly.
The injuries, please, for Newcastle.
Yeah, I was trying to pull that up here quickly. I had it, and then the computer refreshed just at the wrong moment. I'll get that up.
That's okay. I'll run through the Everton team news just for now while you're working on that. Pretty much unchanged, but Vitaly Mikolenko should be back after facing injury and at left back. But the game will come too soon, unfortunately, for Arnaut Danjuma and Lewis Dobbin. Now, Chris, could you say that if Danjuma and Dobbin were both fit, they should be starting this game? Because I would go and say I probably would put Dwight McNeil in a different position, and I would almost certainly be starting Arnaut Danjuma because he's got something a bit different and is a bit of a maverick.
Yeah, Danjuma definitely. Dobbin, hard to say. I think if you brought both in, then what you're really asking is do you go 5 at the back and bring McNeil on as the left wing back or something to that effect? But yeah, Danjuma is exactly what we need right now. But
there is a possibility you could also argue for Michael Keane to come in at centre half, although that won't be popular. But that was the last time we won a game with 5 at the back and Michael Keane at centre back. Shift Jared Branthwaite,
and he scored Burnley, and he did. Yeah, I think he scored against Burnley.
Left-sided centre back, Dwight McNeil left wing, Nathan Patterson right wing back,
Mhm.
and have your 2 6s in Ghana. And I mean, we'll talk about team news in a minute, but there's a lot of options there, a lot of call to possibly start your better players to make things happen. One of them is Andre Gomez,
Mhm.
and I don't see how you can leave him out. So we'll
Correct.
come to the selection in a moment. But Chris, could we get the Newcastle injury news if possible?
Sure. So the recent update, Jamal Lascelles had an ACL, so he's out for the season. They lost Botman not that long ago, so what that's going to lead to probably is having what's that tall fella's name? Dan Burn moved from left back to centre back. They also have some other. Kieran Trippier is kind of a hit and miss. He might be able to play back, but they'd be rushing him to bring him back in. Livramento is also out. So they have a very stretched back four, likely of Emil Krafth. I've never watched him play. Fabian Schär, Dan Burn, Lewis Hall, and Dubravka. So they're looking quite weak at the back. Through the middle, they have Joe Linton out as well right now. So they, in addition, and we're talking the midfield, Almiron went off with an injury, so potentially he's back. He's going to be kind of 50-50 to see if he can come in. Gordon's suspended, so some of their wide players are out. They also have Lewis Miley out for the midfield. So they're looking quite not as strong, but they have their journeyman and Willock and Longstaff in there, as well as Bruno Guimaraes. So in the middle, I mean, there's a thought to say, let's just put someone on Bruno and see if we can turn the ball over through him,
Yeah, actually, Bruno Guimaraes is if he's available, what you say, he's their real talent. Is are Callum
Mhm.
Wilson and Isaac available for Newcastle?
Callum Wilson is still out injured, and Isaac had he didn't seem to come off injured and scored twice at the weekend, both penalties, but 2 penalties in the same match shows confidence. So Isaac seems
Yeah.
ripe on form right now.
Well, I think on that basis, you've got 2 threats for Newcastle. Anthony Gordon, who's now suspended, would have been one of them. He's a fantastic player, whether you like it or not. And Everton having to sell him is a stain and a shame. You've got Isaac up front for them, and you have Bruno Guimaraes in central midfield. Now, as you say, if Doucouré could stick on to Bruno when Newcastle have the ball, just to stop him dictating for Newcastle, and then you can have to stifle Isaac, and when he takes the ball with his back goal, put a lot of pressure on him, not allow him to turn, because he's a player, when he runs at you, he has phenomenal ability. So that's how I would approach that. I think Everton in this game have to be quiet in terms of, stifling Newcastle within the first 15 minutes, just to try and flatten that up. And I'd like to see Everton really play like we did against Aston Villa away in the Carabao Cup earlier this season, which was very, very high press, very squeezed up. What Everton have done in this last 13 games, if you watch them back, compared to the wins and the first half of the season, was we've dropped back 15 to 20 yards. We're no longer pressing the opposition centre halves, fullbacks, goalkeepers. We're no longer squeezed right up. And what that means is when we win the ball back, we're not in positions to really cause them problems with the turn. You look at a lot of
Not
the
as
wins.
advanced, correct?
Say again?
Yeah, they're not as advanced as, like, if you win the ball up by the 18-yard box with those kind of front 6, all of a sudden you've got one passer and you're in on goal. Now it's around the halfway line, we're winning the ball back. So it's a lot harder to manufacture with a team that can't pass to save themselves the opportunity to score.
We haven't
for
got
us.
the wingers that go 1v1, beat the man and cross from the byline. You could argue Dan do that, but we've not seen anything of him. So you look for other routes to score. We like the early ball, but the early ball doesn't suit the strikers because they're kind of trying to twist their head back and all. Look in that direction at where the ball's coming, and then twist that way. Whereas when you get from further along, the defenders are kind of looking away or behind. and they're not watching the striker who's behind them. So, you know, we don't cross from good areas. So that'd be one area I'd like to see Everton improve in, where we cross from and how we cross, and the move, the bodies in the box for the cross.
Yeah.
And what trigger
And
is cross in that run.
what I worry with the way Harrison plays, he will try to take on a man and lose it a lot. McNeil is way more comfortable in the middle right now, so we have no width unless, and I don't see it happening, we have the confidence that we don't expect from Nathan Patterson, and somehow he gets put in. He's the only one that actually would provide that width that we'd want if he played ahead of Seamus Coleman. But the problem is I can't see that happening.
No, he's been bummed out, Patterson, and Ben Godfrey, I read before, was promised game time. He tried to force a move and was promised game time. But I think if Patterson played on the right, bombing forward, and you've got the dual sixes, that's the whole bloody point of having two deep-lying central midfielders, to protect the back four, to allow backs to bomb on, maybe one at a time, and to give you that cover. But we're not doing that. So it's got farce. So we touched on how we can cross the ball in better areas. What about getting the fullbacks forward to provide that width, and then flooding that midfield with your Pinar, Arteta, Cahill types, like your Andre Gomez, like your Decore, like your Dwells, and knit the play together and work better opportunities for the cross, because the trigger for the cross is not right. The other way we could try and score goals is what we've just said, which is press them high. When we last played Newcastle, we beat them because we pressed on Trippier. He made the mistake. We threw on goal.
Now, made 2 mistakes to goals.
We're not doing that. We're not putting the pressure on high up the pitch in areas where we can win back and turn them over. We've got good enough defenders to play a higher line. We've got Jared. Right, you've got a mobile keeper. Why are we making these? What are we doing in the pitch? I've given you 3 things to work on.
So I think the way their route on goal right now, because like half of their team is out, right? So playing from the back is going to be really risky for them, because Trippier is a really good overlapping fullback and really clever on the ball. He made mistakes against us, but if he's out, now you have a right back out of position, a left back out of position, and one of your 2 center halves out of position. What are they going to do? Are they going to hoof it long? Not all day, because that's actually, we generally handle that okay. Like, that's the one time Ben Godfrey wins headers is off the hoof ball. And the one person we didn't talk about yet is Harvey Barnes is back in business. I think he came on as a sub, scored twice for them. So up front, they have Isaac, Harvey Barnes, a couple journeymen through the middle. I think they'll maybe have Jacob Murphy out right, who's, again, okay, but he's not exceedingly excellent. He's just a good squad player. So what you're going to end up having is Bruno, Isaac, and Barnes, if he's fit enough to play twice in 3 days. You got to play, and you say, how are they going to take us on? The reality is they're probably going to struggle more than we think. So do we take risks, go for it, as my little tagline says, and let's play up high and take a bit of a risk here? But the other thing is their midfield, they're 3 in the middle. Do you think Decore, Onana, and who would it be? Who's the third? Do you think James Garner stays in again? I don't want him I don't think he's deserved to stay on the pitch, but do you think he'll play?
Been in a really ineffective period of 6 to 7 games, where before that you look at him and think, this guy tactically, he knows exactly when to kind of run across and intercept, when to cover the space, and he really spots the danger, and then has an eye for a pass moving forward. But he looks like his form's fallen off a cliff. And I how you can leave Andre Gomez out, because he's the one who can pick a pass to unlock a defence. Maybe this isn't the right game for that. Maybe Andre Gomez is for your Nottingham Forest at home, that type of fixture, the Luton away, the sort of the fixtures where the teams are going to give us the ball and wait for us to make mistakes, and we need something special. In this game, I think despite the fact Newcastle have got so many injuries, they will try and take control of the game. I think if we can stifle them in that 15-minute spell, quiet the crowd and get them frustrated, and Newcastle then overcommit players forward, if we can then get the turnovers and punish them with the late runs. I mean, you touched on it again the other day on that fantastic stream. There was a counter-attack with Calvert-Lewin, and he's running through, and it's 2v2. And by the time another Everton player gets near him, it's fucking 6v2.
Yeah, with McNeil. Yeah, it was only McNeil ran.
it's almost like you're playing five-a-side, and you know the lad you're passing to, it's not going to hold the ball, so you don't bother moving because you know he's going to give it straight away. And it's almost like they've got a bit of fear to commit through being exposed, and that all comes from the manager and what he tells them to do and the belief that he instills. But Newcastle, we can absolutely beat them away from home. We've beat them at home, although we did the same with Bournemouth and crumbled. You know, we've shown them. We've got to take some confidence into that. They got injuries. Everton have got almost fully fit squad. You put Mikalenko in there, and you're saying that's your first 11 available, all 11. There's no excuse. We have either got to decide, are we going to press up high and pin onto them, stop them playing, man mark Guimaraes, get in Isaac's face, double up on Harvey Barnes, or are we going to drop, fanny around and try and get up the pitch with no pace and go? So for me, it's quite simple. We've got to push up and take a chance.
Yep.
And you've got Ben Godfrey in that back line, who is athletic, if nothing else. Jared Bransfleet has really good recovery pace. So you've got two quick players in that back line. We've got players in the midfield who can win the second ball. We've got dominance in the air. Why the heck aren't we pushing up, forcing them to go long, forcing them to make mistakes? What are we doing? You now have the defenders who've got a bit of speed.
Yep. And you probably noticed this as well, and I think I touched on it on that debrief yesterday. Did you notice how high Coleman's heat map was? He actually was in that position on the right side a lot and wasn't really utilized. He knew exactly where to stand to what to provide width as a fullback. So I think it'd be interesting to see how he does. Can he? Because he was terrible at crossing, but he was in the right spot the entire match. Mikalenko seems afraid that he can't cross, and it's his fault on a turnover that he's out of position. So that's the problem I've noticed with Mikalenko. He seems afraid to cross it, and he'll give it back to McNeil a whole bunch on their overlapping play so he can go back into position. So part of that is bravery, and then it's saying, do we have enough players in the midfield to, if we decide Andre Gomez isn't playing and James Garner's a little bit off it, then I think we need to bring Idrissa Gana Gueye back, and then we say, you know what, go up high. Gana Gueye and Onana will play back, and we've got you fullbacks. And Branswaite's got the pace.
This is a game, you know, you lose the game and you're not giving points to a relegation rival. I said this with Bournemouth. I said it was a cup final type match. When we play Luton and Forest, I'd take a draw in both games because you can't afford to give them points. And I can see us crumbling to Luton away and Brentford and Forest quite comfortably. We need to stop them getting the points. As much as we don't look capable of doing anything. Whereas a Newcastle, you know, they're mid-table. The fans have got a big expectation. They're a big club, but they've never won anything. They've got a new change of belief. Can go and make it nasty for them. I'd like to just see Sean Dyche become Sean Dyche again, because if he's no longer doing what Sean Dyche does, he's got to go. And I've seen enough in this recent period to suggest that he isn't doing what he was brought in to do in that style, which should be tomorrow, in your face, on their first touch, no space, long ball. But when we got the long ball, we're winning the second ball. We're being aggressive. We're being nasty. Tactical fouls, high press, aggressive.
Scaring the ref when he gets fouled, forcing the decision for a penalty.
A desire. You know, that sums it up, that, Chris. The Calvert-Lewin penalty that never was. In real time and in slow motion, it's as clear as day. But the fact is, why the hell haven't we got 10 players screaming? I know you say debook them, but if everyone's doing it, you're not getting 10 cards.
Yeah. Well, knowing the way Dyche plays, Coleman and Tarkovsky would get reprimanded for going out of position to complain.
Coleman's the captain. He should have.
Right. I'm saying that's like Dyche to say, you're not allowed to leave position to go to complain to the ref.
You know what I'd have done? If I was playing, if I'd have received the ball, I'd have booted it out and ran over to the ref and said, that's a pen. That's a pen.
But guess it wouldn't be a yellow card if we kick it out of play, right?
It's like they're not arsed. You know, the reaction said it all. It's the apathetic. It's the kind of the passive way
It was hopeful, not angry from DCL the way he looked at the ref. It was like, please, instead of that was what are you doing? You know, it was the wrong mindset.
Calvert-Lewin wants to do well. And I think I haven't got a problem with him in terms of, I just think he's now being told to stand on opposition centre backs and win knockdowns to no one.
Mhm.
He's not told your job is to score goals, get in the box and get on your end of it and make sure you get there ahead of the defender.
Yeah,
And
when he did
deal,
pass it was to Corey in a blind alley, and then it turned over.
what I don't understand is like quite basic football. You're getting it on the wing, your fullback's bombing on with your winger and your midfield, your number 10, and you're creating a combination. And the left back on the other side maybe tucks in, and one of the defenders shifts across but keeps it nice and shit. And you've always got 4 back.
Yeah.
Why we don't do that? Why, when we got the cross, haven't you got the striker in the box? So let's say the cross coming from the left, the striker's in the box, the right winger's coming in the box, the number 10 Decore's in the box, and then you got your Onana and your other players around the box waiting for that second ball, and the centre backs behind them ready to back them up. What are we?
We're underloading the box. We're not overloading the box.
Yes, it's like we're. Some of that Bournemouth game felt like I was sat there and I've got a lot on at the moment, and I thought I haven't got time to sit and watch a bunch of OAPs play a charity. Bournemouth was so bad. They were really bad, and we couldn't beat them.
What I found interesting watching that game the first time, and I wasn't sure if it's either sand or water, every time through the middle of the park, you would kick the ball and it would you'd see this spray come off the ground. So it looked like a really poor quality stadium too. And both teams through the middle could not make a pass. Everton or Onana was starting to chip the ball a bit more, and Ghana never figured out how to compensate. So not saying Everton that's the sole reason, but maybe it'll be a little bit different with a higher quality pitch as well. But
Newcastle pitch, and if all we're going to do is play long to Calvert-Lewin and hope for the best, isolated, we might as well not that game. If we're going to squeeze up and get loads of bodies around him and play a real game, we'll be fine. I'll take a point tomorrow. I think a lot of fans will. I'm going to take a brief moment. There's 145 of you watching. I can imagine a lot of you are watching on X, formerly Twitter. I'd like you to take one moment, please, in the nicest way possible, to go over to the YouTube app on your mobile device or youtube.com/follow Everton on your laptop or iPad and search for Follow Everton, which is the channel you're watching right now, and hit the subscribe button for us and hit the like button, because I know that around 75% of people are watching on X. But when I click the red button in a few months' time to remove us from X, no, I'm only joking. You will not get notified when the streams are. You need to be a subscriber. Subscribe. I'm telling you to do it. If you're enjoying this content, which you are because you're watching it, go on YouTube.
You're under direct instruction from Ryan, everybody.
I'm the channel founder. I am directing you now to go to youtube.com/follow Everton and click subscribe. I'm directing you to go on the YouTube app and search Follow Everton. It takes 2 seconds. It's like people are deliberately defiant. We will watch you, Chris. I will watch you and I will enjoy you, but I won't humor you with a subscribe. Just effing subscribe. We want to get to 3,000 subscribers, and the subscriber count is not growing as well as we should be, because people like to sit and watch on X with their luxury. But I'm telling you now, please just do that. Chris. We've had a bit of an in-depth chat about this, and there's obviously quite a lot of things to digest, but I'm going to ask you $1 million question. Well, I'll ask you $2 million questions, but I'm going to go with the first one about Sean Dyche. Then I'm going to get your team news and predictions.
Okay.
If Sean Dyche and Everton lose this tomorrow, say 3 or 4-0, would you sack him?
Yes. I do not know who to put in his place, and that's my problem. Or do we just say, you know what, Ashley Young, you seem to be a good morale booster. Coleman, you can be a player coach, and we just go. I don't know. That's the problem. I don't know who to replace him with, but he needs to go. But do you have a leadership? Because it feels like it's kind of that way now. I'm not sure if that's better or worse. And you have to pay him more money. So unless we have a good replacement, I don't know. I do not want Sam Allardyce back, but because there are certain people that would do exactly this. It's like, okay, do we want old school Antonio Conte. I don't know if he got a spot again. So you'd have all these like really defensive managers that do the same thing Dice does, just with a different face. Or do we need something? Or who's out there that
Martinez back.
screams? Who? Sorry.
I'd get Roberto Martinez because I think Everton have either got to
Yeah, I
get
could see that.
Everton have got to get an attacking coach or change manager. What I think is Everton have got very strong defensive individuals. Pickford, Branthwaite, Tarkowski. Mikalenko's a good defender. He's not a good attacking fullback. He's a good defender. You've got good defenders. Onana, Garner. You've got them. So you can rely on the individual talent in those areas. What we haven't got is someone with the brain to coach them from a forward perspective. How to coach the striker, get in the right position, because they might have but they're not. Maybe they're not in the right position with the body to make the finish. It's that or rushed or just something to do with the forward. So that would be what I think Everton need to do.
Yeah, I like that because you probably remember this as well as everyone else on the chat here. Right after the Moyes era, there was one good season by Martinez, and I think it was a perfect balance of Jagielka and a lot of the other defenders knew exactly how to defend. And it wasn't because of Martinez that they were good defenders. They could score. So we have Dyche's old history of defending with Martinez's attacking prowess, and we can juggle it just enough to get over the line.
He says he doesn't coach Branthwaite. He doesn't overcoach him. So what is the point?
Who does he overcoach? Everybody else?
Listen, there's out there. You've got Graham Potter, who did well at Brighton. Lee Carsley's done well with the England under-21. I think they won the England under-21 championships. You've got options. I'd possibly just ask Wayne Rooney to come in as a striker coach and say, look, can you fucking help these lads?
Yeah.
Score? Can you coach Calvert-Lewin? He's England's ever greatest goal scorer, and he's a blue. I'm sure he would be able to have some.
Yeah, if we could, that's the thing. Maybe it's just a striker coach, and Dyche you kind of split responsibilities. I don't think Dyche's ego will take it though. Do you like? I'm sure you'd have to get rid of him to bring him in.
Not doing anything apart from winding up the fans. It gets to the point where people have stopped watching the press conferences. They stopped watching his post.
Very predictable. Yeah,
they're just monotonous. He hasn't got any charisma. He's not very likable, and I'm struggling to see if Lord Sugar, I would be putting him in the firing quadrant. And listen, he's got plenty to redeem. I think he could get, if he does what Sean Dyche does, which tomorrow will be the high press, the very aggressive, the transitional play, crossing into a box, winning second balls, being nasty. I'll say to you tomorrow how many players have been letting him down. But I just think,
because a lot of the early parts of these matches. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you have a point to say?
Yeah, I was going to say at the start of every single match, you'll notice Everton looked good, really dangerous and impactful for about 3 minutes, and then teams don't play it out from the back. So how do we adapt? Because they have been doing that a little bit, and then Everton don't seem to continue with that energy after the first 5 minutes a lot. I don't know what happens, but they don't seem to press in the same way. Because I noticed we nearly scored a few times from Bournemouth because we pressed at the very beginning, and then we just stopped. Why did we stop? Yes, they decided to kick it long, but I can imagine Newcastle are a little bit more arrogant with how they play. So we need to be on them doing that, but also not letting them break through us and being risky for those first 15 minutes as well. So the crowd gets a bit annoyed because how can they beat lowly Everton right now,
That Bournemouth game just winds me up because Bournemouth were so bad. They've got nothing to play for. And we had a near fully fit team, and we go there and we crump the goal. And the way we played was pathetic. And for me, I've seen enough of this manager with these players to know that we're not winning another game this season. And unless we are truly gifted a win, or he completely changes the way we play. Let's have a look at your team selection for tomorrow, Chris.
Okay.
We've got 161 watching. Thank you so much for your support.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah.
Where do we go with the individuals? It's a bit of a complicated one.
What you said, individuals, like as in who do we start?
Well, you've got an argument that Andre Gomez has got to play.
Mm-hmm.
You have Beto versus Calvert-Lewin. For me, it's clear in this game who I'd go with. And I would say you don't have any argument over who starts on the wing. Jack Harrison is just hopeless. But if we're going to start again, he could be. That's what he's good at, pressing and acting like a headless chicken. So you actually have players that suit what I'm asking them to do. Go and harry them. Go and press them. Go and make them make it. If you're asking Harrison to slow it down and beat two players and whip it in with his right foot, he's not going to do it. If you're so you've got the conundrum there. You've also got the deep line midfield issue of Garner versus Onana. Good defensive players. We should be able to attack more with that security. There's no point just losing anyway through not doing it. Then you've got the conundrum at right back. You've got three right backs. You've got an argument for a five at the back. Have you got any thoughts on your team selection?
Yeah. So,
can we have comments post your teams, please?
So another one that was brought up for manager, but Steve Cooper is exactly the problem of the old school lacking creative. Like, it's very similar to what Dyche does. I'm not sure Cooper would inspire any manager bounce, unfortunately. So yeah, let's say this. I think Mikalenko is back. So left back is sorted. I think we need, irrespective of Godfrey saying, I'll leave in the summer if I don't play, fine. Let's deal with that. Coleman at right back. So we have Coleman at right, Mikalenko at left, and the two centre backs we've had all that pairing all year. And we have Pickford. Now the real challenge becomes, what do we do in the middle? I think based on the way that if we have Abdoulaye Doucouré on Bruno, we don't need to have two holding midfielders. I think we can actually have Andre Gomez occasionally playing more advanced based on his knowledge and read of the game. And you actually have Onana as sort of the sole anchor in front of the back too. So you could either make it a triangle or a V shape, depending on how the game's progressing. You have Abdoulaye Doucouré advanced, sitting right on Bruno. And then we don't really have great options out wide. So I think Patterson won't come in. So I don't see that happening. It'll be McNeil and Harrison, as we've had for a while, and Beto as the striker because he's actually converted his opportunities. What's a bit tricky, though, is I think Calvert-Lewin is better at pressing than Beto is. So if you're solely going on pressing, you would go DCL, but Beto has played better and deserved his chance. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
Garner goes on the bench.
The team that I think Sean Dyche will go with will be similar, and I think he'll go with Calvert-Lewin instead of Beto. I could see him pushing James Garner to right midfield and bringing in Andre Gomez or Garner Gay and just trying to shut up shop because that he does. He's just so negative. Whereas I think you could bring in Garner Gay, you could have Onana and 2 6s, and then say, look, I've got a squadron to 4 there. The 2 6s, the 2 centre halves. I now want some width. I want my fullbacks forward. The problem is, though, he probably looks at Mikalenko and think, yeah, what's the fucking point allowing you the license to go forward? Because you can't do anything with it once you cross the halfway line.
Yeah.
You score 2 goals a season, whoopie-doo. But the rest of the time, you look like an OAP that's turned up, and you're allergic to getting beyond the equivalent of the 18-yard box. I just go off the standards of Leighton Baines and Luca Dean. So I've got very high standards of a left back, and I know what I should expect. And he is not that. He's a very good defender when he's blocking the ball, and when it's all very safe and he's nothing fantastic. He's not like a mobile athletic. I don't know. Just
when we do have the ball, or a lot of times we talk about 4-4-2 out of possession, and that's when Doucouré and DCL will kind of press, and then you have that line of 4 trying to crowd them in. Out of possession, though, if you had Coleman as the right as the right back, out of possession, you could actually decide to push Mikalenko up a bit if you either Harrison or James Garner as the right midfielder or right wing back kind of thing, and then you have Coleman playing more centrally. That could work, but we just don't see it. So I'm not going to try and anticipate Dutch to do that. I just because that's what relatively common. You see these like when Matty Cash will play for Villa, he'll be in this really advanced position, same as Kyle Walker for City, where they'll have three flat at the back out of possession, and one of their fullbacks goes high. The problem is both Coleman and Mikolenko would prefer to be the centre back and let the other one run. So what do you do with that?
Yeah, you've got a lot of questions and a lot of conundrums, and this is for Sean Dyche, who's getting paid $3 million a year to decide, and not a couple of podcasters on YouTube at 11 o'clock at night. But what I would say, Beto, with his pace and running in behind, in theory, you've got a route there. He's good. He gets in good positions. Andre Gomez can pass a ball. Why are we not utilising that combination? You've got Dwight McNeil, who's got full of running, a really good left foot. Why is he not getting in on the back score? Jack Harrison, he presses. Why does he leave himself 1v2? If he's playing, you have to have someone with him to take a defender away and let him get 1v1. We're not playing to the player's strengths.
Nope.
Owen is a monster. You watch him for Belgium, he's going to leave in the summer and play for Barcelona or Arsenal or Chelsea. He's going to play for a team that considers themselves a top side. He's going to go to massive things. We're going to be sat here doing what we did with Lukaku, going, what the hell have we done? We've chased this guy out because we thought he wasn't good enough. Not the individual, it's the fucking system. I'm sorry for my frustration, and it's well past 11 o'clock.
No. Well, also remember, like when you play five-a-side, have you ever been in a team where everyone is standing still because they're in the position that they need to be in, and everyone's like, well, you move. No, you move. It's a very stagnant, once everyone's in their positions, they don't pass, move, and make the players uncomfortable, the opposition uncomfortable.
Oh, it's very strange. When I look at it, I think sometimes we get the ball. It might be a winger, and I'm thinking, why is the fullback not busting a gut to run beyond him? Take the opposition defender away to give you space to get the ball in. Or why is the striker not making a good movement to pull a centre half away to allow the man to come in behind? We're not doing anything, Chris. And tactically, this is why we are bright enough to make an observation and say, look, we've given so many faucets here of different ways you can improve us tactically to get a result against Newcastle and moving forward. And we've done is open a massive can of worms. And we don't actually have any way of catching them and putting them back in the jar. To feed
well, we're just noise, Ryan. Don't you know that, right? We're not the ones that make the impact. We make the noise that no one listens to inside that Finch farm.
You've got to remember as well, whatever happens on the pitch seemingly is dictated. I don't want to make this one a classic Robbie and Wes points deduction show, but what I want to say, whatever happens tomorrow, ultimately may be irrelevant. Whatever happens in the last 9 games of this tragically ridiculous season where we've played well and then we've had a points deduction, we played well and played crap. It might all be irrelevant because everything gets dictated to by your owners. It's just very odd. Just a very quick another announcement again. 171 of you watching. Thank you so much. Make sure you like the video, subscribe. How do you do that? Come over to YouTube, search for youtube.com/follow Everton. Click subscribe. If you're on your mobile, go on the YouTube app, search for follow Everton. It's quite easy to spell that, isn't it, Chris? Follow Everton.
That's with 2 L's, ladies and gentlemen.
The channel is for Everton fans who follow Everton. It's named appropriately. And if you are a follower of Everton, then unfortunately, your booby prize is a subscription for free to this YouTube channel. And on that bombshell, Chris, I've said enough. I don't think there's anything more to cover unless we open more cans. I'll leave that for the post-match reaction tomorrow.
I can't see us winning, but if we can beat them on set plays. I think that's more likely how we score, but I don't see us winning. I think we lose 3-1.
Is their goalie, their good goalkeeper Pope, still out?
Yeah, Dubravka's not bad as a fill-in, but Pope had the rotator, like he dove and tore his shoulder or something. He's been out for a long time. So it's still Dubravka.
We've got a good chance to win tomorrow, and it's a pressure off game. And I think if we get back to what we were good at, we can do it. I mean, the set plays as well. Get James Garner off the corners when they're on the left, because they're just stupid. He hits the first man. Just loft it to the back post and use your height and block the goalie. Yeah. It's Burnley Mark II, but that's all we've got.
Well, they have Dan Burn, we have Onana, and then we have a lot of players that are all taller than everyone else for them. So we should have an aerial advantage. Pope loves to go out and punch, but Dubravka's not the same. He's more of a shot stopper. So we should have all the opportunities from set plays here. Will we do anything about it? I guess you'll find out live tomorrow.
And there'll be no watch along, unfortunately, but we will be back soon. And Chris, pleasure to have a good digest of this information with you. I'll now go and let you take some paracetamol for the migraine you have now got.
I opened up the can of worms that is a migraine.
I'm hoping for an Everton win tomorrow. And if it is an Everton win, it'll be a 1-0. Snatch and grab, shut up shop. We've got to start keeping clean sheets, because if you're talking about Everton lack of goal scoring, then you can equally now talk about the amount of goals we're conceding every week. It's unacceptable. If you keep a clean sheet, you give yourself a best chance of nicking something. And I think that's the way to go moving forward. Because I'll be honest, I think 9 draws will keep us up. 9 draws, 34 points will keep us up probably on goal difference. And the best, I've always said, the best time of the season supporting Everton is when we're not playing. It's the off season.
Or it's when we surprise you and we beat Brighton away.
To be honest, a successful season now is just Everton staying up on goal difference and Liverpool not winning the league.
Mm-hmm. It's not that different than being a Palace fan, I'm sure.
If we don't win another game all season, the only game I want us to get points or draws the home derby. I'll pay a lot of money. I still don't think. Yeah, let's not open that can of worms.
Well, if that's the case, wouldn't that be if they go down but they beat Liverpool in the process? That would be the last time Goodison would be in the Premier League under the lights.
Do us all a favour, mate, if we got relegated and we didn't have to watch this anymore.
Well, then either we say unfollow Everton or follow us differently. I don't know. But yeah, for everyone else, like, not everyone has to be an Everton fan that follows us as well. I think it's also quite interesting sometimes for those that are watching or prepare. Let's say you're a Newcastle fan coming to see what the Toffees are thinking about your squad. It's also really interesting seeing it from the bird's eye perspective from other teams, you know.
They hated us and now they've mellowed since they lost 3-0 at Goodison. But we beat them at Goodison and we can beat them again tomorrow. I don't see why not. And let's try and stay positive. Let's wrap things up. So you've been listening to Follow Everton. I'm Ryan.
I'm Chris. I'm Aussie Chris even.
Now, why are you called Aussie Chris? Because we've got a few Chris's.
I'm not Domino.
Thank God. No, I'm only joking.
Only joking to him. All right.
Good evening. Good night. Good morning, wherever you are. Thanks, everyone, for watching. And we'll see you soon. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.